Okay, look here. Okay, this guy is writing the coattails of James Hansen. Okay, and right at the beginning of his video, there was an ad for traveling to Hawaii, okay? And I took a screenshot of it. So here's what I asked him. It's kind of a trick question. It'll be interesting to see what he answers. And I have to be careful because I just applied for 9 PhDs this morning. And my second academic reference that I recently got is friends with this guy. Except I'm an independent, uncompromised social scientist. So I have no choice to tell things like it is. Reality matters. Like all of them claim here when they kind of criticize somebody else, but they won't allow me to criticize them who are also full of cognitive dissonance. So here's my question for him. Because he lives in BC, I think in Vancouver. What would you recommend is the most sustainable method to travel to Hawaii? And again, I hardly meet people that know when to use the word sustainable and sustainability appropriately. I rarely do, especially people with PhDs. In fact, unless I teach somebody to use the difference between the two words efficiently, they don't. So what is the most sustainable method to travel to Hawaii? Which had been a place I went on a Zoom call one time for a PhD, and I wasn't impressed. The guy barely wanted to be there. It was one other candidate, and he said, well, contact this person, and I did, and didn't get an answer. And I did look at the paper that he recommended from that guy, and it's fancy words, but it really doesn't say anything new or intelligent. Like, there's no way I wouldn't think the same thing as my master's degree in the Vancouver Island University that I wouldn't be teaching my teachers. So from British Columbia for a well-deserved vacation. Now, it's very possible that he's going to answer, well, flying our boat, which is likely to be a cruise ship or something like that, is not very good. And then I would say, well, is it okay? What's it called? The climate nexus, whatever. There's a climate denying kind of anti-science Canadian YouTube channel that I've criticized many times and reported as misinformation. And I said, do you secretly work for them? I would say, is it okay if I consider your video as, Paul, I'm sorry, but is it possible your video is Shallows Ecology and maybe you secretly work for this climate nexus forum or whatever it's called? I can't remember now. And I'll put in the notes here because, like I'm sure you're being the good cop here, but you're still kind of not talking about the right things in the right way at the right time, in a right sequence, and you're not realizing how you're riding his coattails to make profits with your YouTube channel promoting things that work against you. And again, this is cognitive dissonance, people. Here's something I'm going to ask. I'm going to post this very soon. It's a Master of Science in Ecocentric Worldview. Now, what is the thing that the elite are the least worried about as an outcome for the climate emergency? And it's ocean rise, because they can easily, even whatever they have by the ocean, pay people to pack everything up and go somewhere else, while the poor people can't. The poor people that live near the ocean worldwide. So that's something that they will continue to, not do much about. I recently put a note somewhere on a news channel and that talked about, the Vancouver boats and bridges and the dangers there. And I said, well, do you know that there's people that have been advocating for the safety or are trying to reduce the number of, let's say, oil tankers go through around there for decades? And then I go look at a 2018 report from a fossil fuel industry engineer to the city of Vancouver, or BC public servants related to studying this stuff. And you can tell they don't account for ocean rise. And they say, well, this bridge or whatever would only become dangerous in thousands of years. They actually mentioned a few times thousands of years. And you got to be pretty dumb to not consider ocean rise or consider rust or consider, the sociology that What makes you think that we can't even hire people that are competent to do things that you don't need to be competent to do? What makes you think that all these structures that you talk about right now in your delusional world as an elite is going to be the same for all this time? Like, do you not understand what the Anthropocene is? And I know Paul doesn't, and his friends around there, and I have to be careful how I criticize them because they're pretty sure they're the top of the ethical scientists of the world, like most of them do. If they actually at least don't deny climate change, they think, they're God's gift to science on this planet. And again, that's quite sad, because if they were ready to kind of go to the next level of their maturation process as adults, and therefore reconsider priorities of what to discuss or isn't even worth discussing in the way they do it, we would need people like that. Please